Hey, all right, so we are already on week 2. If you are panicking because you didn't see week 1 yet, it's okay. We had a weird semester where the semester technically started on Friday, January 7th. So I had like one little mini announcement on what to do for week 1, but I'm going to cover all that in just a second. All right. So first off, I hope you found everything on Blackboard okay. If you're still struggling or if you don't know where to find assignments, feel free to reach out to me. Now is the time to ask for help instead of like at midterm time when you're struggling and you're falling behind. So if there's anything you need help with, just let me know. All right. Okay, so like I said, we had week 1 was really just on Friday, and there was a bunch of assignments that I covered, but they were all really quick, things that you can knock out in like less than 5 minutes. So at the bottom of this announcement, it's going to say finish any of last week's assignments, and you can see a list of all those things that are due. If you need more information about that, if you'll go to our homepage on the My Task section, it's got a description of how to complete all those assignments. So syllabus quiz, diversity project, there's an about me quiz or about me survey. All those are really quick things that you can knock out really quickly. All right. There's a few more things I'll mention in just a second too, but let's look at what you need to be doing this week. So first off, and this is a big one, I mentioned this last week, so some of you may have done it already, but there is a practice exam. So the reason I did that, our first test is January 20th and 21st. That's at the end of next week. So it's quick. It's coming up pretty soon. We're using Respondus Lockdown Browser in this class. And so number one, we're on a little bit of a different version of Blackboard than we were last semester. So I want to make sure that we don't have any technical issues. I want everyone to make sure you can use Respondus to take just a simple practice exam so that we know that we're good when the real thing comes. Number 2, and honestly, this is probably the bigger thing, is there's going to be instructions for what you have to do before you start the test. It's going to tell you to record your environment. That includes like the area in front of you, your desk or table surface, and then like a quick 360 of your environment, what's behind you and around you and all that. And you have to do that to get credit for tests, right? Like you are required to do that. So even though this is just a simple practice exam that's going to be questions like, what's the name of this class and what year is it? Like don't study. It's really, really simple. Even though this is just like a kind of a silly practice exam, you have to do those instructions to get credit. So this is going to be worth 5 bonus points. This is due on Wednesday, January 12th. So go ahead and complete this as soon as possible. But what I'm going to do after the due date on Wednesday, sometime Thursday, I'm going to go back and review all of your videos. And if there were any issues, I'm going to let you know. Let's say like you didn't show your student ID or you didn't show your environment. I'll send you a message that says, hey, that wouldn't be acceptable for a real test. You wouldn't get any points. And I'll reopen the practice exam and ask you to redo it just to make sure that we're good for the real test. All right. I know that sounds simple and it's really not going to take that much time, but I really want to make sure that we all understand how to take tests so that we don't have a bigger issue down the road. All right. So you can find that, go to the exams tab, and there's a folder that says practice exam. I've even got a video that shows you how to install Lockdown Browser. Even if you have it installed already, jump about to halfway of that video and it's going to show you what you have to do when you show your environment. All right. Okay, so that's the first thing I would do. Go ahead and get that out of the way so I can start reviewing those videos. After that, you've got a couple more lecture videos. So last week, even though it was just a little mini week, I told you to watch chapter 1, which was like an intro chapter for biology. This week, you've got 2 more lecture videos. Chapter 15 is on Darwin and evolution, and chapter 19 is on systematics and phylogeny. I know those sound awful, but here's all that is. Chapter 15 is looking at how Darwin discovered things are related to each other, and kind of how we've got all the different types of organisms that are on Earth today. Chapter 19, systematics and phylogeny, that sounds terrible, but all it is how we group things together. So like how do scientists study all the living things on Earth and put them into different categories like families and kingdoms and things like that. All right. So watch those lecture videos. You have a review quiz that is due this Sunday, January 16th. So you had one last week for chapter 1 that's also due this Sunday. You've got another review quiz for chapter 15 and 19. So just make sure you complete both of those. Okay. So that's about it. You can see underneath that it says any of last week's assignments. So like I said, about me survey, syllabus quiz, diversity project. We mentioned the practice exam. One more thing, though, I want to mention, and then we're done. is lab prerequisites. So first off, make sure you've bought your lab kit. I know you're sick of me saying that, but you have to buy a lab kit in order to even complete the labs. Like if you don't buy the lab kit, you're not going to be able to open it up or submit anything. So make sure you've bought the lab kit as soon as possible because it can take a week or two for those to come in. Now your first lab is due at the end of next week. So you've got to order the kit so that you've got it in time to complete the lab. But before you do the real lab assignments next week, there's a couple prerequisites that you have to do. And they're not hard. The first prerequisite is just making sure you can use SI Cloud is the name of our website that we use for labs. So it's just going to walk you through how to use that website and how to like type in your answers. It's going to say it takes like a couple hours. I promise it doesn't. And then there's a second one on lab safety. It's same thing. It's going to say it takes a lot of time, but it's just showing you how to make sure that you've got a good setup when you're doing labs, that you've got a safe environment and you know how to handle all the material that's in the lab kit. All right. So again, those are just prerequisites. They shouldn't take too long, but this website is going to require you to complete those before you can do the real labs next week. All right. So that means if you'll go ahead and get those out of the way this week, you can just focus on the lab next week when it's due. If you don't do that now, you're going to have to do the prerequisites and the lab, and that could end up taking a lot of time. So just do all that to make sure you're staying on task. Okay, so that's it. Just remember, heads up, next week is our first exam. So next Thursday and Friday is when the first test is going to be. So make sure you're studying, like as we go along and watch the lecture videos, make sure you're taking notes and you're studying as we go so you don't get in a position where you're having to cram the night before and learn everything. But if you have any questions or if you need help finding anything, let me know. Thanks.